Hey guys, Remington from the Revury, and today I'm going to show you how to authenticate Louis Vuitton Monogram bags. And for the rest of the video, I'm just going to shorthand it to LV because I just can't even with the tongue twister. It's too much. So to start, we're going to go over the general rule that I've been hearing across the internet, which is if the LV portion of the monogram print is cut off by the bag, so not these prints, not those ones, but this logo, if that's cut off, then it's absolutely a fake. And while that is true as a general rule, there are plenty of exceptions. And I really want to harp on this because I don't see anyone else talking about it on the internet, and it's just the truth. So bags of simple construction, such as the Neo, the Neverfull, the bucket bags, that is true. You should never see the LV logo cut off on them. But there are bags of more complex composition and construction that will have the LV logo cut off and are still authentic. So bags like the Keep All, the Speedy, the Trunk Clutch, like those can absolutely have the LV cut off and still be authentic. So I want to harp, it's very important to know the type of bag that's in your hand in order to decipher whether the monogram print is going to be authentic or not. The next thing that you should look for is the seams. And on the seams, I want to disclaim, this is not conclusive, but it is a good indicator as to whether the bag is authentic. And what I'm going to try to explain to you is the thoughtful and careful design that LV uses on its seams. And more often than not, they try to create a thoughtful design. The three patterns I've noticed is direct alignment, mirroring, and merging. And direct alignment is like just what it sounds like. It's where the patterns meet at the seam to complete the design. Mirroring is where the pattern is mirrored proportionately on either side of the seam. And merging is where the pattern narrows to eventually merge at the seam. So this bag is authentic, and it's an example of what a merging seam would look like. So as you can see, this print right here, it slowly gets narrower and it merges up to the top, just like that, like almost like a tower. That is a sign of authenticity. Now, a fake would be kind of all over the place, it'd be jumbled, and again, it's not conclusive, but it is a good indicator, so always check for it. And another interesting thing to know is on the cylinder bags, like the Keep All, it is made up from one piece of fabric, so as the cylinder rotates from top across to the other side, the LV logo will flip from reading right side up to upside down. I don't have one here with me, but I put pictures up in the blog so you can go check it out. And then the next thing that you should check for is the zippers. So LV, unlike a lot of other luxury brands, does not outsource its zipper manufacturing to YKK or IPI or Lampo. They maintain complete control over it. So you should never see a factory stamp on the underside of the zippers used on their bags. And here's an example of what I mean. See how the zipper is completely clean? There's no brand stamp? That's authentic. And I know that's surprising because we have other brands that we do these videos for that do have that brand stamp. So just know LV is the outlier. As well, be sure to check the pulley on the zipper because LV will always do a brand marking. And the marking itself can vary. They have a couple of different authentic versions that they use. I put a couple of examples up on the blog so you can check it out. But here's an example of an authentic one on this used on this bag. See the LV logo right there? Now, one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, I've been seeing as counterfeiters, the zippers used on the bags will have inconsistencies between the zippers on the same bag. So be sure to scrutinize each zipper kind of like side by side to make sure that they match perfectly. Otherwise, it is a fake. The next thing that I wanted to go over with you guys is the logo. I'm not going to go too far into detail because I won't be able to do it justice here, but I did do a full outline of it on the blog. But just to give you what you need to know, the basics, this is what the logo looks like. And the basics that you should keep in mind is that the tail on the L in Louis is very short, should be kind of cut off. The O's are perfectly round and are almost like half a size bigger than the rest of the words in the word. So they should look almost like slightly bigger. The counterfeit ones I've been seeing will have kind of like an oval shape to them, or they'll be perfectly circular but like a little too small. So keep an eye out for that. And then the T's in Vuitton have a different spacing than the spacing you used on the letters throughout the rest of the word. So if you see the T's equally spaced with all the other letters, that's a fake. The T should be slightly closer together in terms of spacing than all the other letters. So keep an eye out for those, guys. The next thing I wanted to bring up was the date code. I'm sure you guys have probably heard about this. Instead of using serial numbers, Louis Vuitton uses a date code on the inside of their bag. And for those of you who don't know what that means, is a serial number is a product number and it is unique to the bag in your hand. So say 100 of these was made and they all look identical. Each one would have their own unique serial number. Louis Vuitton, in contrast, will have a date code. And many bags can share the same date code because what the date code does is it identifies the factory in which it was made in and the time period it was made in. So I'm going to give you an example. Oh, and you should know, since the 1980s, every single LV bag has been made with a date code. And the date code formula has changed multiple times over the years. So to avoid confusion, I'm going to give you the current date code formula. But if you have an older bag or you're looking to a vintage one, go check up on the blog. I put up all the historical date code formulas as well. That way you guys can like stay on track and authenticate your bags too. But this bag here, or let me just start with the date code formula. So the date code formula currently, since 2007, is 2 letters followed by 4 numbers. And the first 2 letters indicate a country code. And the country code tells you in what factory the bag was made. Louis Vuitton currently has factories in 6 countries. And I did a list of all the countries and their corresponding authorized date codes up on the blog, so you can go check it out. Make sure those first 2 letters aligns with one of the country codes on that table. Then the next 4 letters indicates the time in which it was made. The first and the third represent the week of the year in which the bag was made. The second and the fourth represent the year in which the product was made. And when I authenticate, I always like to start with the second and the fourth number, because what that does is it tells me what year the bag was made, and then I know which date code formula I should be applying. So for example, on this bag, there's a date code formula, which you can see here. It says VI 1909. So if you start with the second letter, or the second number, 9, and the fourth, 9, that means this bag was made in 1999. So immediately I know I'm not using the current date code formula, I'm using one of the older ones. This one happens to fall in a date code formula in which the first 2 letters represent the factory number, so the same. The first and the third represent the month, rather than the week, of the year in which the bag was made, and the last 2 represent the year, or the second and the fourth represent the year. So this bag was made in 1999, and if you look at it, so we've got the factory code, VI. The first and the third on this one tells me that it was made in October. 10 is the month. And then 9 and 9, the second and the fourth, is the year. So this bag was made in France, that's what the VI date code tells me, and October 1999. So that helps me authenticate how old this bag is, whether it should be in better condition, and counterfeiters will try and duplicate the date codes. I've seen it happen before. Things that you should keep an eye out for is if the material is not of high quality, or if the material doesn't match the bag in terms of what the look and the appearance and the color schemes that's being used. And then lastly, the fonts. I've noticed counterfeit products or with the date code has like a different font than the one typically used by LV. So keep those in mind when you're looking at the date code as well. And then lastly, so important, LV does not use authenticity cards. And I've seen a lot of people trying to pawn these fake LV bags online, and they try to like add this like authenticity to it by saying there's an authenticity card, and that's just not the case. If you see an LV bag being sold with an authenticity card, it's absolutely fake. Run for the hills. It's just not real. But if you do want to shop real Louis Vuitton, go check it out at the Revury. We've got great stuff. And if you have questions, let me know. I hope this helps you guys. And have a good one.